yesterday was her monthly webinar. Somehow I got invited and I'm like super excited. So anytime I can try to jump in on those, because she's such a wealth of knowledge. And her stuff is proprietary, so it doesn't get shared out unless you're a member. But she was just like, this is a really perplexing market right now. And the word she used was volatile, because you've got some areas in Glendale's in the top 5 or top 10 hot markets. I think Glendale, and was Peoria in there too? Peoria might've been. But just really everything's volatile right now. And with the interest rates going up and down and up and down, we just don't know. There's a new inflation report that's coming out in one day, because she said 2 days yesterday. So tomorrow, I'm guessing. So that's going to be telling of where we're at with that and what the feds are going to do. So really just kind of an interesting market. I've been doing this for 25 years, and up until 2004, it was very predictable, right? It was predictable what could happen. And now today it's like, well, what's really going on? So I want to talk a little bit about lead gen ideas, but also just marketing. So how do we market to not just listings, but also to buyers? And I think we did a lot during the pandemic. We're like, go get listings. And, a lot of my coaching clients are like, well, everything just kind of fell in my lap. Right? It just fell in my lap. I really didn't have to hunt. And now things have changed, right? And we can see, if you look at the data, you can see a really sharp drop off that happened in the fourth quarter. And, I've said this, a couple of you might have heard me say this already, but you guys know the story of the pirates when they invaded the Caribbean. Right, the islanders had no point of reference. They'd never seen ships. They'd never seen pirates. So they're literally on the shoreline, and before they knew what was happening, they were being invaded. And so that's kind of what happened to us last summer. Right, the feds kept saying they were going to raise rates. We're like, are they not? Right, then they did, and we were the islanders staring out, going, what is that? What just happened? Right, and before we could figure out what happened, it had already happened. And so, kind of this is kind of where we are right now, is what's happening with the markets. And so, so again, I don't want this to necessarily be about me. I have ideas, and I've got 2 shift things from Workman I want to share with you guys, but let's just jump in. What are some ideas you guys have? Let's just start with marketing your listings. I had a listing that took 50 days to sell. It's the first time in 10 years I had a listing take that long, right? We started out at 255. It sold for 202. So a big difference there from what we thought it was worth. And if we had this conversation this time last year, it probably would have sold for 300. Right, with multiple offers. So let's just talk about that. What are you guys doing to market your listings? And like I said, there's no bad ideas here. I really just want this to be a collaborative share. So you guys go. Tell me what you're doing, or tell us what you're doing. Don't all talk at once, because then I'll have to pick on somebody.
So I'll go.
Okay.
I ran ads. Obviously this is before KV Core, so I used a megaphone. I chose Google ads versus Facebook ads. That always impressed my sellers, because they saw like 15,000 views or 20,000 views in like 6 clicks or whatever, but at least they know that it was getting out there. And one of the best responses I got is I put price slashed, because it was right around October. Prices were being adjusted, and they were like, hey, price reduction or new price. But I just put price flash, so that got people's attention, and just that word got people motivated, because they're like, oh, wow, this must be a deal. So
slashed, especially during Halloween.
Yeah.
Your words matter, right? Words matter in marketing. So for sure. I like that. So yeah, I saw a lot of people doing price improved, and I liked that too. That wording instead of price reduced or price changed, price improved. I like that. Okay. Yeah. So using, I think, so AdWorks has gone away. Remember, we used to get the free 7 days. That's gone away, because Roberta, I'll come back to you in a second. Nobody was paying for the additional time for AdWorks, so it wasn't a lucrative thing for them. So it's gone away. However, I wish Nate was on here. Text him. I know he's been playing around with the KV Core stuff. Roberta, go ahead. You got your hand up.
So I'll say 2 things, and I'm not using them right now, but they need to come back. So one thing that was super easy was to just play off of the Buffini cards. And on listings that I thought maybe they would be a little more difficult to sell, I took just a note card, and I had typed out the message inside, and then I spray glue the message inside the card. So I'm not handwriting every single one. But it basically said, hey, I've just listed a property in your neighborhood. These are the particulars about it. I mean, it's more detailed, professional than that, but here are the particulars about it. If you know anybody who might like to buy this house, let me know. I would personally sign my name, and then I would personally handwrite out all of the addresses. Now it was usually a smaller neighborhood. And that always got really good response. Other listings, which I tended to do more at the higher end, and I could show you a picture if you want me to of what I'm talking about, but it's like a business card, and it's a fold over business card instead of a flat one like we typically have. And on the front, it would have a picture of the house and the address. On the back was all of my contact info. And on the inside was what would otherwise be on the flyer: 3-bedroom, 2-bath, pool, blah, 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 blah. And then I would give a stack of those to my client and say, hand these out freely. And I would put them also folded and nicely placed all over the house, including the bathroom. Put them everywhere so that people could just pick those up and they would have those instead of a big, huge flyer to walk around.
Something different. And then you just print those in your office?
They're just business cards. They're just business cards.
Okay.
They can be expensive. That's why I always did it for the higher end on the folded cards, because they can be expensive to do the double-sided print and the fold and the this and the that. The other one is just note cards, and you just, on a sheet of paper, you print out the particulars, you stick it in the card, and you mail it to everybody in the neighborhood, and it looks personal instead of, it's just a play on the Buffini concept.
Sure. Instead of doing a postcard that's not as personal, you do a handwritten note. Trina McGee used to do that. She's since retired, but she used to do that when she'd take a listing. She would hand write a letter to, I don't know if she did how many homes she did right around the listing, and that was always favorable. You guys have to remember that when a home goes on the market, within 30 to 90 days, 2 to 3 more homes are going to come on the market. I witnessed this in my house in Surprise. There were actually 6 properties that turned out. There were 6 properties that turned over in a 4-month period. 4 were for sale, 2 were rentals. 1 was including mine, but 6 properties in a 4-month period of time turned over in that neighborhood. And that was, I mean, the house was only 2 years old. So, and it was really cool to have that statistic and then get to see it happen on my street. So if you're doing things like that, if you take a listing, the market has been so robust that y'all haven't had the opportunity. We advocate at Workman that you should generate 6 to 8 leads every month that a home's on the market, and 1 listing should translate into 1.5 buy sides. And I'll tell you, the people I coach over the last couple of years, hasn't been happening. Because why? Because a home went on the market and it was sold before you even had a chance. And so instead of, and I'll come back to you, Rick, but how about do what Nate did is go on the market on a Monday, don't have any showings until the weekend. That now allows you to advertise the home for a full week, get an opportunity to get those leads. You door knock around the listing, you do the letters, whatever, right? You let everybody in the vicinity know that this home's for sale. And then you do your open house on the weekends, right? And now we allow the showings. And so that's a way to control that market. And again, if you're door knocking, and I feel like a listing has 4 opportunities to door knock. I know some of you are like, I don't want to door knock. Well, okay, I get it. But to me, there's 4 opportunities. So there's the coming soon, right? The house is coming on the market, save the date type thing. Then we have the open house. So the house is on the market, come pick your neighbor. Now it's gone under contract. What did you do, Danielle, to get that home under contract? So we highlight all of your superior seller, confidence system, which I'm going to share with you guys some ideas on that. And then now it's sold. And so now I'm educating the neighborhood of what that property sold for. Do you think that if you door knocked 4 times and held a really kick-ass open house, do you think that if someone thinking about selling, they're going to think of you? I'd like to think so. I'd like to think you'd at least get an opportunity to sit down at their table and have a conversation. So, Rick?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention how important social media is, and our team has regular postings on social media, but especially listings, and thanking the seller for trusting us with their property. And that has really grown the business in ways I couldn't have imagined. And our personal friends and associates see those listings and see who trusted us. And then the next thing you know, it's grown. And just our intimate circle of close friends has produced a great deal of business. And in addition to actually selling properties, people see those listings on social media and they get interested and they go have a look. And social media is huge. And it can, and I poo-pooed it, but it can't be underestimated how important it is.
Nope. And that, so Facebook is huge. I've got a lady that I coach that's doing in LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's one of those sleepers, you guys, that we all kind of forget about. But there is a lot of business that's being had, you know, where people, when they Google you, they look to see, are you on LinkedIn? What's your business profile look like on LinkedIn? So she's using that as a legitimate funnel. It's one of her pillars. So I've been stalking her, and I've been trying to beef up my game too. Facebook Marketplace is another option too. I did it on this open house I did that I got skunked. I didn't get as much traffic. I got a few leads through it, but the one I did in Morristown, I got probably 10 solid leads from a $30 ad I ran on Facebook Marketplace. And even after the ad expired, the paid part of it, I still was getting leads, and we showed it directly from Facebook ads at least twice. And so Facebook Marketplace is another one is a player, I think. So you're gonna have some spam, but I think it's a good place just to let people know something's for sale. Roberta, and then we'll come back to Barb.
And sorry to monopolize here. I thought Rick was going to tell a different story, but this has happened twice now in the past week. And it's not marketing, but I do feel it is marketing. It's being present at your listings. Being present at your listings. We had a big to-do last week at one of our listings. And by to-do, I don't mean a positive thing. We had a big to-do at one of our listings, and Rick was on site and got to meet lots and lots of neighbors. And one of them said, wow, this is just amazing what's going on. And, you know, we've been here for 30 years and we'd really like to sell our house. We're just not sure how that's all going to work out. So he talked to them about reverse mortgages and how they could move. So he literally, we've got to go back and do the follow-up, but that's a listing and a buy just by being at the house and showing that he cared about that listing. The other one happened to me last night while I was out replacing all of my signs from the lovely windstorm. And I popped into one of the communities, and the guy had already seen us sell one, and now we've got another one for sale. And he said, oh, have you sold that one yet? No, I haven't sold this one yet. Oh, good. I need your card because my brother would really he's really interested in that and he wants to buy. So can you help him? And I said, absolutely, here's 2 cards. So it's just being present at the listings, whether that's open house or attending to your listings or checking on the neighbors or checking on the property after a windstorm or whatever's going on. I just think being the presence in the neighborhood is important.
Yep. Barb, let's go to Barb.
Hey there. I know many of us do client events. I recently had our 10th or 11th annual shred event. It's a really positive event. Any client event you do, it's going to be really a positive field between, you know, your community, your farm area, whatever. But the follow-up on that, you know, stopping by, saying hello, sending them a card, thanking them for coming and participating. And then, of course, then we could always do, and by the way, I'm not too busy for any of your referrals, or if you have just a question or you need a vendor. So it's a super easy follow-up because they all potentially can be leads, and that's a lot of people right there.
Yeah, I'm going to brag on Barb for a minute here. So she's done this shred event in her community for it's either 10 or 11 years now. And it's grown so much that, I mean, people look forward to it every year. And I know demographically, there's some people like, we don't keep anything, so I'm not going to shred. But in her community, in the farm she works, it makes sense. And then and I don't know if you're going to resurrect this, Barb, but she was doing a newsletter. And one of the key components that separated Barb from the average newsletter mailer is that she paid somebody on a Saturday to go hand deliver those newsletters. And that guy actually booked appointments for her. Because think about it, on a Saturday morning, what are people doing? They're out trimming their yard, they're washing their car, the kids are playing, whatever. And this guy was friendly enough when he would hand deliver the newsletter, he would actually get her appointments. And so we actually had one time, there was a mistake in her newsletter, and Barb was not, she was like, Sarah, how'd the mistake happen? I'm like, well, I don't know, but it happened. And I said, but the good thing is this person reached out to you and said there was a mistake in it. So now take her a thank you and say, thank you for helping me have quality control in this. So that was a win-win. We were able to put her into the database. And so we don't want to intentionally make mistakes, but mistakes aren't bad because that lets them know that you're human. And if they point it out and they take the time to call you, that is a huge win. That's a huge win. So because they're reading it, and now that's an opportunity for you to go and thank them. So love that. Jennifer, you had a comment in the chat.
Yeah, so with Facebook Marketplace, like I partner with this lender that will make like hyperlinks, and it doesn't work for like the current listing that I have because it's a little too expensive, and that's not really who's shopping on Facebook Marketplace, right? But when you market like why would you rent when you can own this for 0% down? And then if they click on the link to read like about the finance program or the mortgage calculator or anything, it's tied directly to me. And then you immediately find them. So it does work. I went on a Zoom with them and it works, but it is, again, it's like sub 400 that they're really getting the action. But
The houses that are under 400, is that what you're saying?
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's a really good, you're gonna have spam, but you used to weed through the spam. So so I think going back to the thank you notes and writing that stuff, I think we had seen a couple years ago, a guy named Wayne Frederick, that is a big marketing guy. And he's a coach and only works in the Remax world. But he had shared a letter that he writes out to, if he has a buyer. It's a very specific letter that's written to sellers that meet that criteria. And it's not a phishing. He says, I have a buyer that's looking for a home that's blah, 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 right? He names out the specifics. And I actually did that for a client of mine, I don't know, a year or so ago. And I only sent 6 because we were very specific about the product that she wanted, but I got a call from it. And we had a dialogue. It didn't work out because she ended up not liking where the location was, but I had a conversation. I only sent 6. And so I thought that was a pretty big win to, only send 6, a small number, and at least have somebody call me. The other thing on handwritten notes, I actually beat out on a multiple offer situation by writing a thank you note to the seller, just thanking them for the opportunity to see their home and to consider our offer. And up until closing day, like, they gushed over the fact that I took the time to write that note. And I beat out several other offers that were better offers. And so never underestimate the power of a thank you note, right? It's huge. Nate, you got anything? You jumped in, so thanks for joining us. You got anything you want to add? You're muted.
I'll just listen in for a while so I can get the feel of the group. I don't want to talk yet. I'll wait till the end.
All right, cool. Well, here's some other ideas that I had just for sellers. So advertising sellers, newspaper ad. I ran a newspaper ad in Wickenburg, and I actually got a lead from it. So you can't underestimate that old school, it's old school, but it worked. Craigslist. There's some agents out there that are killing it with Craigslist. I know some people have some feelings about Craigslist, and that's okay. But it's a way, again, just to market and you could do all kinds of stuff with Craigslist, as far as like advertise a free seller's guide or a free first time home buyer's guide. So there's a lot of things you can do with Craigslist. We talked about Facebook Marketplace. We've talked about open houses. I think open houses are really huge. I know some people don't like doing them, but if you're new or you don't have any business going on right now, I feel like it's a way to immediately get some traction. And Steve, I might pick on you. In fact, let's do that. Let's pick on Steve Cushing. Talk to us about your process with doing open houses.
I'm just okay. Yeah, it has been freaking life-changing for me. It's a way for me to meet, when I was with Nate, it was a way for me to meet and make that goal of 2 people a week. And then he had told me, and so had Burl Workman, that if you meet 2 people a week, it'll change your life. And I was just kind of doing the data. And since October, I have 60 leads, that I've met through open houses, which is, for me, that's significant. I mean, that's a lot of people for me to call and follow up on. And let's see, right now I've got, it's been great. And it's a way for me to belly shake somebody's hand, have them meet me. I mean, you're right. There's times where I'm doing it where nobody shows up, but then there's times like last weekend, I had probably 16, and
wow.
They actually, I had an iPad out there and, they go, where do I sign in at? I was like, holy crap, this doesn't always happen. But yeah, it's been really good. I mean, it's been, like right now I got 6 things coming up, 6 transactions.
Wow.
So
wow, cool. Love that. So a couple things I'm taking away. 2 people every week, change your life, right? I'd be intentional of meeting 2 people every week. And then Steve, he does a whole thing with Facebook Lives and does videos, and he's very intentional in how he does his open houses. And I have an open house class coming on March 7th, right after R4. And we're going to go through kind of what Workman teaches and what Momentum teaches. So open houses on steroids. So I think that's awesome, Steve. And then the other thing you said is you got 60 people since October. I mean, that's huge. That's huge just from doing open houses. So I love that. Thank you. Danielle, go ahead.
So I had a listing sold in an area as an acre property, 700,000. It took me 6 months to do that, but once it sold, I used CoreFact, and forgive me if people have heard this before, but it was such a great story. So if you're not farming an area and you sell in one area and you like that area, you want to get more leads, I would use corefact.com, and you create the postcard. It has the Remax logos and everything in there. You just design it. I said a little blurb, sold this property, we saved the seller money, blah, 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 but it has a QR code. And I sent it out to 1,200 people in the area around my listing. I got about 20 responses where I got an email, this person logged on, and I don't have their phone number or email address. It doesn't capture that. It just gives their name and the address of where they're currently living. So then I sent them a one-page CMA, hand wrote the notes, and I got a listing appointment for April 1st out of that.
Awesome.
So yeah, and it's funny because the handwritten note, I forgot to put, it was a couple named Jared and Vanessa, and I forgot to put their last name on the envelope, and they had the envelope on the table at my listing appointment, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they didn't even notice that, but they liked that it was handwritten. I'm like, I forgot your last name on the envelope, and they're like, that's even better. So, they don't mind mistakes because it's a human
Exactly.
effort. So it cost me about $800 for those 1,200 postcards, but I got a $450,000 listing out of it.
Yeah. So any of that marketing stuff, you guys, 3 times the return on investment is the goal. So 800, if you got a 450, she made her 3 times, right? Barb, go ahead. Oh, you're muted, Barb. You got to unmute. We can't hear you.
Okay. Does anybody use the Buffini video messaging system? I just got signed up for it. They're going to let me play around with it for like 30, 60 days or whatever. Anybody use that?
Anybody on here doing that? Who might be somebody to talk to is Steve Padilla out of our Avondale office.
Oh,
he's a big Buffini guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's using that.
What is the product?
It's called video messaging, and it's with Brian Buffini, the CRM.
Okay.
Isn't it through BombBomb?
Yes, it is a BombBomb
BombBomb,
product.
right?
That's the message I got.
Yeah.
I haven't used it yet, but I think they said it was through BombBomb.
Yeah. So BombBomb's been around forever. I've been using BombBomb.
Yeah.
Every Friday you get the BombBomb email from us. That's BombBomb. If you guys don't know what it is. And KV Core has video messaging built in as well through BombBomb. So,
okay.
Whatever you use, it'll work, right?
Yeah, KV Core, you're not going to have any additional cost. You guys, and I'm not
No,
here to do
no, that's not true. That's not true.
on the video. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
You have a limited
Expensive,
video use. But here's the deal. You all have video on your phone right now.
Right.
You can pull out your phone and pull up your text and send a video to anybody for free. Right. So don't underestimate what we already have. Right. So and it works just as good. Right. Now, if you like BombBomb, you're creating a message in the system. That's a little bit different, but I would personally just use your phone. It's more intimate. They don't have to open anything else.
Yeah, that's a good point. So talking about video, YouTube. So I was just listening to something earlier. There's a girl named Alex Earl. Go Google her. She's an influencer on YouTube. It's ridiculous. And all she's doing is videos of her wearing clothes and putting makeup on. But she's getting people flying her to the Super Bowl because she's this influencer on YouTube, right? So I have a coaching client that I used to coach. Her name's Katie Day. You could look her up on YouTube. She's running all kinds of stuff, masterminds and different things, because her and her group of people, they've learned to maximize YouTube. Now, YouTube is for sellers, trying to get sellers, or even people relocating into areas. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but that is a viable pillar if you're comfortable with video and you want to kill it on YouTube. So, and there's some different people out there that you can ask questions and follow. So Katie Day would be the person I would refer to you. But they're killing. I think she got a $2 million lead. It was a commercial lead. She's in the Houston market from YouTube. Okay. A couple other things. So KV Core, Nate's been playing around with the ads on that, having some success. Nate, you want to talk about that?
First of all, I'm going to give you a disclosure. When you're buying leads wherever, right? Facebook, don't think they're leads, right? They're names of people that don't even know you, right? So I got 9 leads out the first $45 ad I used through KV Core on one of my listings. All 9 of them were dead leads, right?
Ooh.
So, so you got to understand when you're buying leads, most people don't even know. If they click on your lead on Facebook, Facebook pushes you their information, right? If you ever click on something, that's how come people know how to get a hold of you and they start spamming you with stuff. So be careful what you click on, because as soon as you click on the lead, Facebook sends the information. Almost everybody I called, and I called them all personally because I'm testing it out, right? Said they didn't even
know how they got to you.
Yeah. So just be really careful. I don't want to try to tell you that it's better than nothing, right? It creates a good pacifier for the seller to show that people have inquired on their listing. But whenever I don't like to buy leads. Why, Sarah? What's my word?
Hopium.
Yeah,
You got the picture?
It creates false hope, right? I have right now, and Steve knows this, I have 3,600 leads in my Boomtown account. I got a VA in the Philippines calling them. People on my team call them. It doesn't mean that we're going to make a ton of money off of them, right? It's a lot of hard work, right? So we quit spending money on leads. Then we started about 4 months ago again. And again, we're still getting the same result. It's Steve's hit it. If you really want to be successful in real estate, just go do open houses. Get face to face, belly to belly with human beings that are there and build a relationship with them. I built my real estate career 36 years ago by doing open houses. My team, we don't spend any money on leads. We just do open houses, right? And it's fairly simple, right?
Yeah. Okay, so a couple things, I think it was Melanie. I don't know. A couple things I just want to roll through here. And Nate, I want to talk about the shift. You weren't on the call yesterday, the CEO mastermind, but they really hit. And I don't know if you heard Mahala, one of the coaches in training. So we'll get to that in a second. But anyway, some other thoughts I have. So we have VoicePad as a tool. We got Google. So Google, using Google for reviews. Jennifer, what's Jennifer's last name? Daniels. Thank you. She closed 2 deals last year from Google just by being very present on her Google page and putting all your reviews there. So Google is a great tool. Having your website, right? Having your website built out and blogging. I built up Nate's his website years ago just by actively blogging. There was one blog I did when Junior was moving out for the first time. Nate was like, Nate Senior was like, we need a checklist. And what does this kid need when he moves out for the first time? So we created a checklist. And for years, you guys, that blog stayed at the top search result of first time moving out checklist. So don't overlook the power of blogging just to create that Google juice, right? To keep you present.
Can I add to that, Sarah?
Yeah.
I just added a whole bunch of stuff in the blog section of my KV Core website. It's so easy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the KV Core website
is letters I've done. I've copied and pasted it. Things that my lenders send me, list reports or keeping current matters. I just uploaded it just to give some good content. It's so easy.
Yep. So, and I could talk to you about if you want to blog, contact me offline and we'll talk about it on how to get SEO and all that good stuff. Not that I'm an expert, but I did pretty good getting some websites going. So flyers, let's just talk about basic flyers, right? Having a flyer box. Remove the eliminators. And so what do we mean by that? Like take out the price, take out the specific things that would cause someone to eliminate that property and not call you, right? So we could go back, that's old school, right? Having a flyer box and putting those flyers out. But we used to, back in the day, when we used VoicePad for track, well, it wasn't VoicePad then, it was a different system, but we would track the code on what the person was calling in. And if there was a sign call and we knew that they were calling off that or a flyer call, those were hot leads because we knew they were right there at the property. I want to convert that lead. So don't overlook the power of just a simple flyer. Offering different guides, right? We talked about that a little bit, using free first-time home sellers, first-time home buyers, staging tips. And then we're starting to see it pop up, broker tours, right, of properties going around the city. Those used to be fun, right? Get the limo and drive around, look at properties. So those are also options. Buyers. So we talked a lot about open houses. I can't stress that. New homes. So I wish Rose was on here. Maybe Jessica can jump in, but they have struck a relationship with a particular builder salesperson, and that builder is allowing them to sit spec homes open, and they're getting some really good traction with that as well. So, new homes, we're going to talk a little bit more about new homes too. Facebook, I think Rick really stressed the power of social media. And then how about groups, volunteering? If you have a hobby, we've talked a little bit about moms groups. Christy Kohlberg is killing it. And that's one of her primary pillars is her moms groups that she is around with. It's a group. If you have kids a certain age, you join those groups and now you're around other moms, and that is a really strong pillar for her. In fact, she misses a lot of our Thursday stuff because that's her mom's group day. And she thinks that's more important. And it is, right? Because that's a pillar for her. Jennifer, go ahead. Or I'm sorry, Kim, go ahead.
On the flyers for a second and open houses, I take the flyers out of the flyer box during an open house, so people have to come in and talk to me.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. So some other ideas. So what about your vendor partners? We give business to lenders and title and all these different people, but are they giving business back to you? And then they came up a couple weeks ago in a workman call, was having a top 54 businesses. So you guys all heard me talk about having a top 50, and like Nate said, the open houses, but just your people, right? Who are the people who know you, like you, and trust you? They don't have to be a past client, but just people in your sphere. And are you working those relationships? And you can create an additional top 54 businesses. So we all go out, right? Become a foodie. Those businesses are starved for content as well. So can you get business from that? I met the lady who's now my dog boarder and dog trainer, dog groomer. She had a business card in a restaurant that we go get pizza at. And I was like, oh my gosh, picked up her card. And now she's my friend too, on top of it. So double score all the way around. And just because she had a business card in a restaurant. Housewarming parties. We used to do this a lot, throwing housewarming parties. And I wish Rose was on here because she did this. This was a few years ago. They did a housewarming party for her son. And he invited all his friends to show them how cool it was to be a homeowner. She had a lender there, and they pre-qualified a couple of people on the spot. And I know at least one deal closed from that. So it might have been more than that, but I know at least one transaction came from that. I don't know about you, but being at a housewarming party, that's a fun thing. We're the most popular person in the room, and it resulted in an additional transaction. Also,
Sarah,
topic. Yeah.
Sarah, before you go beyond that, I think it's such a good thing to talk about.
Sure.
So Michael Mayer wrote a book called 7 Levels of Communication. In his book, he built his business again with the housewarming, right? So how many people have done housewarming in the last year?
Not in the last year.
Yeah, nobody, right? I haven't.
Danielle, put her hand up.
Yeah. So to give the concept to people that don't even know what we're talking about, is basically when you close on the house, you ask the seller if you can sponsor a housewarming party. You get them, if they say yes, you get them to give you their Christmas list, and you invite all their friends and family to the housewarming. You get permission from the seller to invite the neighbors, and then you show up, maybe with a lender or what have you, and you bring food. And your job at the housewarming party is to do one thing, is to serve the food. If they want to have alcohol, that's on the owner, but you just bring the food. So you bring like Dave's barbecue or whatever you want to do, and you just serve the food. And if anybody asks you about real estate, say, hey, I'll take your name and number and call you later, and just focus on being there and being present. It's an amazing thing. You think about it. If somebody gives you their list of, say, hey, invite these 30 people, and now you have their name, address, and phone number, right? 30 new leads that you put into your KB Core, and you invite them. And then the people that come, then now you've met them, all right? Now you can send them a thank you note afterwards. So one event can probably do more for your business than just about anything else that we talked about there, right? Sure. And for very little cost and very little time.
Yep. Yeah. And if you guys get invited to anything, whether it's a baby shower, a funeral, a wedding, you got to go. You got to go, because that's a huge compliment. And if you think about it, if it's a buyer we're representing, we've just helped them with something significant, right? Their need of primal shelter, their primal need of shelter. So if you get that in, that is, to me, it's a huge compliment. So you got to go. And if you can't go, at least send a gift, something that lets them know, thank you for inviting me. Nate had a situation, was a funeral. Somebody passed away, and he just happened to see it on Facebook, commented, the lady said, hey, we look forward to seeing you at the funeral. Nate, you want to tell them what happened after that?
Sorry, we have landscapers here. It's real, got a lot of background noise. Okay. So I went to the funeral. Nothing's happened yet, Sarah, but I had sold her mom a house, sold her mom's house, sold him a house. Mom had dementia, ended up passing. So her dad's living alone in the home. So kind of now the goal is to find a perfect home in this little small area that they can bring dad and mom, or daughter and dad together, the two families, and have a shared living arrangement. We haven't found anything yet, but if it happens, we find the right house, it'll be a purchase and 2 sales.
So 3 transactions, all from a comment on Facebook for a funeral that he had no plans to go to, but went to after the comment happened, right? So 3 transactions. Another thing that Nate has done, we only did it once, but I've had a couple people I coach do this, is buying and selling seminars. So we had in lieu of time, I'm just going to go quick with the story. Nate did a buying down seminar. So it was focused towards people who had bigger homes that needed to downsize. We only had, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was only 4 people came, right? Four couples came, but all of them did a transaction with Nate. They all bought and sold something, correct? Am I correct with that? Yeah. So
we did it a few times, Sarah, and everybody that came to that seminar eventually did business with us. So it was probably 5-6 transactions overall.
Yeah. So that's also, could you do a seminar for buyers right now? I was talking to Richard Cook, one of our property managers, and he has an idea to take his property management people and expand that to their children and their spheres, to help those people build wealth through investing. So we talked about having a seminar to get in front of people that should take should be buying rental properties, right, and investing. So divorce and probate attorneys, those are also people you could be making. You could have a list, a top 50 per se. Unfortunately, we do have a part of our population that's going to be passing away. And so are we working senior facilities and probate attorneys? Are you that person to go to, right? I've been told I'm on their wall of important information when she passes, right? My card is up there with instructions to her son that he is to contact me. That's a huge compliment. So estate sales or estate companies, that's another one too that you could grow. If you're in your neighborhood and you see a garage sale, pop in, right? Ask them if they have a realtor, because why are they doing a yard sale? Might be thinking about moving. Swag. I will tell you with total confidence that 100% of the time, if I wear my name tag or something that says RE/MAX, I have a conversation about real estate. 100% of the time. So getting a name badge, some of you guys have seen my bling name badge. So go to blingnamebadge.net, it's $20. You can get the RE/MAX balloon and rhinestones. It is a talking point when I wear that because it is obnoxious. And so people see that and they engage me. So the brand, we get to say that nobody in the world sells more real estate than RE/MAX. So use the brand to your advantage. If you like to work out, get some of those shirts, put the RE/MAX name on it, get out there and use that. So I talked about LinkedIn. Networking groups, contribute content. So if there's an influencer out there, contribute some content. Nate and I have been Riz media writers through Workman, so contribute content to those places. Marriage licenses and wedding events. If someone's getting married, there's maybe a possibility they need to buy and sell. And then I just saw somebody put this idea up on Facebook, and I think I'm going to copy it. Shelters for animals. So doing a fundraiser to help a shelter, or what they're doing is they're doing an adopt a pet program. And so they're sponsoring that and helping to get a pet adopted through their database. I love that. And then just what about handing out your business card everywhere you go? Take a handful of cards, and as you're going throughout your day, make it a point to get rid of all those cards that are in your pocket, right? So Roberta, go ahead. And then I want to talk about the shift.
Of course, you said dogs in, so I had to hop in. So
of course.
For years, So for years, Rick and I through RE/MAX sponsored our dogs, our little athletes running around the country. And so the dogs have their own business cards. It's that has their pictures on it and their stats and all of that. And then we'd always have Remax, sponsored by Remax Professionals. We had a couple of the other sponsors as well, but that always worked and that did result. So in business, and my point there is find what you're doing and figure out a way to sponsor it and make sure that your information is on that sponsor card or flyer or whatever.
Yeah, and you can sponsor all kinds of things. Meaning sponsor Ray Evans, who's since retired. His son played basketball, so he sponsored the basketball team even after his son graduated. And he would go to the games at the high school, and that the announcer would say, "Hey, Ray Evans is in the house," and he'd stand up and wave, and always got some play from that. So you can sponsor all kinds of things, and it doesn't have to be crazy expensive. There's different ways you can do that at cost-effective ways. Okay, so the shift. So you guys have heard me talk about this, and Nate and I talked about, I think, what was that, January meeting, right? February meeting, whichever one it was. There was a gal that on our Friday call last week, her name's Mahala. She's a newer coach with Workman. Her and her team took the new home advantage, and I'm going to show you guys part of this. I think we can share it with them, right, Nate, since we're master coaches. This is private Workman stuff if you're a private client, but they took the shift for new home construction. They put 32 deals on the books as a team in January. So pretty impressive, right? And they had done, I think she said they did 26 last year. So they were up by a couple transactions hitting 32 just by using the script that's in the shift. And so let me do a share screen here so I can show you guys. And we're lucky because we have new construction. There's some people I coach that don't have new construction in their markets. All right. Just got to get my screen so I can share it with you guys. So what I'm sharing here is 18 reasons why you need a buyer's agent. And so, and I'll send this out to you guys, but basically my thought is could I take this content and create a blog, create Facebook, create a video, a text, or even just a conversation with people in your database, right? New home construction, there's some fantastic deals out there, especially all along that, the 163rd out in Surprise, out in that area. There's some really, really good deals out there. And so could you take these 18 points and create this into content that now become talking points that you guys can have with people? And you got somebody that has equity in their home, they could level up, right, and go into a new home. A lot of people think that new homes aren't viable because they're too expensive. And last year, what were we doing with new homes? Some of them weren't even paying commission. And you had to do a lottery or, crazy stuff, right? And that's all shifted now. And some of them even have inventory that's sitting. And so why not go in? And there's actually another document here of ways you can negotiate with the builder to represent your buyer. So, and then there's just basically the conversation, right? Calling your people and talking to them about new home construction that's out there as options. And so I'm going to send this out to you guys because I think it's really valuable that you could take this. But Mahala's team, they just got really intentional about letting people know about the opportunities that were out there in new construction. Because there's some, like I said, there's some really good deals. Let's see. The other one I wanted to share. Nate, did you have something to add? You look like you were saying something.
You could take this. And if you read one of these, right, that could be a text out to somebody in response to something that somebody said, right? You can probably just use this canned verbiage to respond to somebody. I used a couple of scripts, and I just went through the scripts because these people are frozen because of the interest rates and because of prices. And I just went to the shift document and I copied and pasted a few things right into a text and sent it out to them. But this could be 18 different posts that you put in Facebook, or 18 different things that you can do. You can do a video. You can create a video, top 3 things, top 10 things. You can use this information 100 different ways. The key is doing something with the information, right? Action. All the stuff that you said today, Sarah, the only thing that really resonates with me is you have to do it. Pick one thing and do it, right? You have to create an action, because being on this call and listening to all these great ideas and not doing anything to put something in action is really a waste of our time, right? So grab something and use it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think master it, right? Don't try to juggle a bunch of things. Just pick a couple and master those. And, I love new construction because, back in the day, it's like you put stuff, if you have enough new construction in your pipeline, you're getting paid every month. And think about that. If you stagger that and you got somebody every month that's buying something new, and some of them are spec, they're getting closed sooner. So to me, it's like, I loved it because I always knew I had stuff coming in 6 months from now, So I'll send this out to you guys, the 18 reasons why you need representation. The other one that's in here that I wanted to share was the seller confidence system. So I actually was on the think tank for both of these shifts to help create the content. So the story of the seller confidence is an agent who has a listing that's not selling, and she doesn't want to beat her sellers up for another price reduction. And she's, only a couple years in the business. And so she reaches out to a more senior agent, and they come up with a seller confidence system. There are sellers out there that are being affected by the headlines. Tina yesterday shared, so I guess people send her stuff to agents, send her stuff. And there's this guy on YouTube who's got 8,000 followers who literally the headline said, the real estate market in Phoenix is bad, all in caps, right? And there are people on there watching this and following it. And he's not even in Phoenix. He lives in Florida. And the content he's presenting is 3 months old. And so Tina kind of poked holes in all his stuff. But why I'm sharing that is that's what your people are seeing. That's what they're seeing. My brother, I have a sibling moving to Tucson, and he said, I told her not to buy right now because it's a bad time to buy. And so I had to educate him why he's wrong and that the things he's reading are 3 months old. All those reports that come out, that's what your people are seeing. And so you've got people out there, and she even shared, Jennifer, maybe you could jump in and help me with what she said about the averages. Let me look at my notes here. She said you still had, if you've owned your house for 2 years, it's still a 16.5 increase in value, right? And so we have people out there that are misinformed because they're paying attention to headlines. So if you come along and you give them a seller confidence system, and again, I think you could create content with this on social media, blogging, texting, whatever, right? So it just basically goes through and talks about what are you doing as an agent to make sure that house gets sold. So here's your premium market plan. And of course, this isn't necessarily a be all end all, because there might be things that you're doing in addition to, but it's a good place to start, right? To put that information out to a seller. And so just really raising the sounding off why you're different and how you can help people, because there are people in your database that are being affected by the sensationalized headlines. The other thing I want to share, and I sent this to Shannon yesterday that Tina had shared, there's a company called MV Realty that is out there, and it's now become a lawsuit in a couple of states, Florida being one. They are here in Arizona. There's about, what'd she say, 769 homes that have been sold to basically contracted with this MVP or MV Realty. And what it is a 40-year contract that if you decide to sell your home at any point in the next 40 years, you're under contract with this company. And the FCC has also gotten involved because they're using robo-dialers and calling people that you're on do not call lists and things. And so you can't get out of it. And so the contract is either 3% of what the purchase price is or 3% of what they deem the value of the home is. And so now there's lawsuits, basically, FCC is involved, the government's involved. So hopefully they get shut down. But I think it's a good talking point. They're preying on elderly people who don't speak English as their primary. And so how many elderly people do you have in your database that could be victim to this? And so that goes back to my final thought of your top 50. And I know some of you are like, shut up, Sarah, with the top 50, but top 50 is so critical in the relationships that we have. And if you're circling the wagons and providing something like, don't be victim to this, right? Let me help you. You contact me first. I want the people in my top 50 to call me for anything. I don't care what it is. I want them calling me if it's something related to real estate. Okay. So stressing that, what is the top 50? It's 50 people who know you, like you, trust you, and will do business with you if you ask them. Nate, you got anything you want to add to top 50?
Is everybody who does not know what top 50 is?
I hope nobody on this call doesn't know what top 50 is.
There's people that have just joined our company, Sarah, that never heard you talk about top 50.
True.
Does anybody not know what top 50 is? Valerie, do you know?
Yes, she better say yes.
I'm assuming it's the top 50 people in your sphere.
Yes.
Well, Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I
It's-
talked to
it's-
her about it
it's-
yesterday.
It's really defined 50 people that if you focus your attention on once a month somehow for 12 months, that would generate a referral, right? It doesn't have to be somebody that's in your sphere today. It's somebody you can add today, right? So it's somebody that you're going to put on a list and you're just going to love on them for 12 months. Now,
Yeah,
one of the best coaches that has killed this, was it 76 transactions? She
76
closed
referrals.
76 closings.
It was closings, or I thought it was referrals.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think it was closings. I think she had 76 closings from just working one very
concept.
simple program. All right. So dig into it. It's probably one of the better things to do because it
Absolutely.
works. Now there is a white paper. Sarah, maybe you can send it out to everybody, the 8651. What the white paper states that if you do this, you should get 86 referrals in a year, contacting these 50 people one time a month. It's not, it could be a text, it could be a note card, it could be a lunch, it could be a coffee, it could be a dinner. They can come to your intentional whatever it is. But if you have some communication with 50 people on a very intentional matter, it should bring you business, right? So one of the things that I really like about what we teach at RE/MAX Professionals, it's not really to spend a bunch of money, right? It's to spend some time with the quality people, right? So really just think about that, and focus in. And one thing you didn't mention, Sarah, I know we're going to jump off, is be a voyeur. Ever wanted to be a voyeur in your life, right? And being on Facebook and responding. Like yesterday, Shannon posted a picture of her dog Julio, right? Is it Julio? Right? 18 pounds, to 50 pounds, and I might have it wrong. But if you see stuff like that with your clients, get involved, say something, send a card, send a dog bone, something, to somebody that is posting things, right? You're going to see on Facebook alone, if you just spend 15, 20 minutes reading, you don't have to be posting, just reading what your clients are saying. And then you can maybe send out, like if somebody's mom passed or somebody's kid is sick or their dog died, these are opportunities for you to connect, on a deeper level. And you don't have to ask, and you shouldn't ask if they want to buy or sell real estate. You just want to connect with them, right?
Yeah.
People care about, what's the word? People don't care how much you know. They care about how much you care, right? So I think just leaning into people is a really good thing. So,
and not to have an endorsement for send out cards, but I've been using send out cards the last couple of years. I'm doing exactly that. Like I send in, if it's someone, wedding, a pet passing away, some significant thing. I also do it for birthdays and anniversaries. And I've gotten tremendous response from it. So, and the thing about it, you guys, is they're not going to throw that card away. And I've even had a client say, I'm saving this and putting it in a frame. And here's the thing, they're not going to throw it away. And every time they look at that, they're going to think of me. And so I'm not necessarily an endorsement for send out cards, but it is a way to do custom stuff. I don't know where Nate went. He totally just disappeared on us. Shannon, you got any final thoughts? We got 1 minute left here, and anybody else with any other final thoughts, any ahas that came about, anything you're going to jump out and do?
I guess based on, what you and I talked about, Sarah, is, when we look as a company, we look at our agents and who's doing what, and we're evaluating year over year type of numbers, and we're seeing where everybody stands. There is a pretty distinct line in our stats, I guess, for those who I know work their sphere, as what Sarah's been talking about this entire call, who are maintaining just fine and or thriving in this market. And they're the ones that get up every day and they're working on their business, in their business, and they've got a plan and they're intentional about it. And those are all very cliche things to say, but they work. And the numbers don't lie. And so, that's my only thing, is just, create that list and start somewhere and just do it. I joke, that you could do Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Nutrisystem. They all work. Just pick one and do it. You know what I mean? So just pick something and get started, and don't hesitate. Just do it every day intentionally. And that would be my biggest tip for anybody.
Absolutely. Love that intention. Get up and get dressed, go to the office. I've had that conversation with a couple of you. Any other ahas? Anybody got anything that just like blew your mind that you're going to run out and do today? Nobody? Everybody needs some more coffee.
Another random tip. Oh, go ahead.
So I last year when I went to the RE/MAX convention, I also went to the CRS convention in Arizona, like this next weekend. So I got a hold of a lot of new agents, got all their cards, put them in my database, and just I added them on Facebook. I send them updates for Arizona each month. And I had one agent I think he's in Ohio, tag me in a post if somebody was looking for an Arizona real estate agent. And I got to her within 30 minutes and she already had somebody picked out, but I hopped on it. But it's a nice, having other agents is a nice little extra stream of business.
For sure.
Just keep in touch with other people.
And
Yeah,
I saw.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I had to piggyback on that. I was going to mention that is don't forget to tell your friends and family in other areas that just because you're not in that area, you can still help them if they're moving from Chicago to Baltimore or wherever. You can still earn referral and passive income on that. That's a huge source that a lot of agents forget. And we have this amazing RE/MAX network to use. Yep. You've got good people you can find at any time. So
there was a gal that I forget her name, but she's jumped on Facebook last night. And she said she's paid out over $40,000 in referrals to RE/MAX agents, and how she's looking forward to going to R4. 40,000 just last year. So she's looking forward to going to R4 and connecting. So Rick, have the final word.
Wow, I feel blessed. Roberta doesn't know this yet, but we're going to do an open house when we get back from R4. One of our clients that just bought a house is almost unpacked and ready to go. So we'll be having an open house in Sun City.
A housewarming.
Housewarming
Oh
in
no,
Sun City.
I figured that out. I saw your eyes. I know.
While we were online, the client called me to tell me, and what a great deal that is. But we all have lives outside of real estate. I know we incorporate them in, but I just want to share a quick one. Roberta and I are in golf leagues and bowling, and we do all this. And we were sitting with one of our in a waiting room as one of our buddies was dying. And I looked around, there was a dozen of us sitting there taking turns to go in. And I whispered to Roberta, we've sold property to everybody sitting in this room.
Wow.
And so those friends that you make that trust you, and it grows. Yeah. So
yeah, that's awesome. Nice, powerful end to the session. So thank you, Rick, for that. I hope y'all got something. It was recorded, so we'll make sure we push it out if you want to rewatch it. I'll be sending you the 8651 ebook, the new home, the new 18 points of why you need a representation, and the seller confidence system. If you guys need anything else, please reach out. I'm always here. I know several of you are going to R4 next week, so we'll see you there. And I'm sure we'll come back with some amazing takeaways. So you guys have a great day. Have a great weekend. If you need anything, please reach out. Okay. Take care.